Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So if you've seen my latest post, I said I was going to do a Boa Hancock deck profile. I managed to get 4-0 in my locals, and recently I went to store regionals and went, I think 4-2. That got me into the top 8 for the side event. So pretty good deck. I used the same deck build, and without further ado, here's the deck itself. So let's start off with the leader, Boa Hancock. So once per turn, if you manage to remove something off the field and you have five cards or less in your hand, then you get to draw a card. So she's really good because, you know, all that draw power. And when it comes to TCG, draw power is always good. And let's start off with the searchers for the deck. I'm running 2 Sengoku, lets you find your pieces, and as a 1 cost, more on that later, because he's 1 cost, you can do some fancy combos. And then we got 2 Kaya. She's a 2k, and she allows you to draw 2, trash 2, so also good for finding your pieces. And then one of the most important cards in the deck, Jinbe. He allows you to swarm the field and make some other combos, depending on what 7 warlords you have in your hand. Really good second turn play if you're going second. As a Boa leader, I highly recommend that you try to go second most of the time, so you can play off your even curve. And then we're running 4 Geckos. This is a good card to grab with your Jinbe. You can look for 2 counters that you used from your trash and add them back to hand, or just to, grab a blocker, just to make some more plays. And then, since I said blocker, we're running 4 blocker Doflamingos. He allows you to set up your deck so you kind of know what your future turns will be like. He's really good for searching out like key pieces moving forward, and since he's a blocker, you can help stall for you to get your bigger pieces out later in the game. And then the only other blocker I'm running are the 2 Boa Hancock blockers. I didn't see her in most of my games, but when I did see her, just having another 5k blocker on the field really helps out, and her effect that allows you to draw more is really helpful too. And then for 2ks, I'm running 4 of the Trafalgar Laws. He's really good with the Jinbe combo, so you play a Jinbe and then you play out the Law, and then if your opponent has 6 or more cards, you just bounce them back to the hand, and you force your opponent to lose one of their cards. And if you have 5 or less cards in your hand after he goes back, then you get your leader off too. So that's super good. You just plus. Then our next 2k, we're running 3 of the Mihawks. Just as his 2k, he's already good, but if you manage to get him on board, he gets you 2 more cards and fixes your hand. So swinging for 6 and drawing 2, trashing 2, really good with keeping your hand healthy. And also it's a really good play with Jinbe. Just forces your opponent to try to deal with him because they don't want you drawing all the time. And then our last 7 warlords that are 2k is the Crocodile. I mainly use them for 2k, but let's say your opponent has a 2-cost blocker, you can use his effect to get rid of that blocker and then also draw off your leader. And also searchable with Gecko and Jinbe. So yeah, solid card. Then we're running 2 of the Charlotte Puddings. I didn't really use her much aside from a 2k. I might swap her out for something else, but for now she's pretty good, especially if you have no other plays and you have few cards in hand, you can just play her and bounce her back to your hand and get a draw off. So it's not too bad. And since she's back in your hand, you just have another 2k. Then one of the best cards in the deck, I'd say, is the Pudding. In most matchups, dropping a Pudding at the right time can really swing the game into your favor, especially if you know like your opponent was like searching all game. Just dropping this and having all their searches go back into the deck is really devastating for them. So I think 3 is good enough. 4 might be too much because she is just a 1k, and if your opponent is playing around her, then she could just be a brick. But as a 1k, she's never a brick. Never mind, she's pretty good. But yeah, I think 3 is a good number. And then off to our bosses for the Boa deck. The first boss is Boa herself. A 6'8" character is really big in my opinion. She can protect you, and like your opponent has to answer her, or if she stays on the board, then she's just a big threat to them. And then her effect can either save you a turn, or I don't know, it just forces your opponent to answer. And if this sticks, then you have another attacker that will probably go through. And then her effect, freezing one of their characters, and then either removing one of their smaller bodies or even one of your smaller bodies, which is why I was saying the Sengoku 1 cost really comes in handy. If your opponent doesn't have anything else on their field that's 1, then you can bounce your own Sengoku and then get your leader effect off. So very solid card. Just put it here. And then the second boss card, the 10 cost Kaido. I'm running 2 of these because I don't think you need too much. Like once he's on the board, he's already hard to get rid of, and if your opponent does try to get rid of him, they're using a lot of resources. His on-play ability procs your leader effect and removes potentially 2 characters off their field. So very, very big leader, or a big character. And then because we have 2 bounce Kaidos, we're running 2 draw Kaidos. So like at first I didn't like his effect because it was kind of counterintuitive to our leader ability, but then late game, if you drop him and then you just like get 4 cards from your hand, that's pretty devastating for your opponent as well. Like I don't know how they would deal with like a 12k and 4 extra cards into your hand. Usually when he hits the board, he sticks, and I think if you can get one of him and one of the other Kaidos, you're pretty much like winning that game. Unless, I don't know, if you're playing an L and then they just drop 2 aces. Okay, now for the events. The best event in my opinion is the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. 7 cost that bottoms 2 is huge, and proccing your leader effect, like you get so much pluses just from playing this card, and a lot of decks are afraid of this. This is like a boss itself. And then the next event, I'm running 3 Red Rocks. I was debating on running 4, but I think 3 is enough to get rid of most of the boss monsters that could threaten you. If you're playing against like Enel, they might be scary, just because they can keep playing out those big bodies. But if you're playing like against Bonnie, this Red Rock can just like get rid of Zoro, and then the game is yours. They pretty much lose a whole turn playing their big body, so if you can get rid of it with a 6 and then play like, let's say, a Jinbe or another 4 cost, then you're looking pretty good. And then the last card, I teched in 1 3000 Worlds. So I'm debating on taking this out, but when I won at my locals, this won me I think 2 out of my 4 games. Just playing this and getting rid of like a 5 cost really helps out, especially if it procs your leader effect. And let's say the one game that I remember like this coming in handy was against Luffy, Black Yellow Luffy. They had, I think on their third turn they dropped the Sabo, and then after I bottomed it, it was gone forever. So they never saw that again. And then my next turn, I think I bottomed something else with the Gravity Blade, and then after that they couldn't search for any of their bigger Straw Hat brothers. So I was like in a really good spot to win that game. And that's the deck. If you have any questions, like you can comment down below. I do plan on changing this deck up. I went 2-2 at locals today, so it was not as good as I hoped, but I did go 4-0 the 2 weeks prior, and then top 8 at the Store Regional side event. So I'm still pretty happy with this deck list. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll try to post more. I know it's been quite busy, but this leader I feel is like very like solid, and she's a sleeper, man. If you don't know how to play against her, then you'll have a bad time. But yeah, any more questions, just comment down below. My rounds for the locals that I went 4-0, I played the Black Yellow Luffy. Like I said, I just bottomed his Sabo, and then from there on I was in a good spot. And then the second was, I believe it was Bonnie. Bonnie has a really tough time against Boa, just because you can bottom all of their stuff. If they manage to get a Basil Hawkins and a Cavendish, if you have your Gravity Blade in hand, just hold it until they drop those two, and then just clear them. If they manage to bring out a Dofi or a Zoro, that's when your Red Rock can really put them behind. And then my third game was against an Enel. Enel is a really tough matchup for Boa. I believe we're supposed to have an advantage, but I don't know. If they keep dropping big bodies, then it's really tough to answer. I think that's when your draw Kaido comes in, just because it's hard for them to run this over. But if they get like 3 aces and you don't have any Red Rocks, then it's really tough for you. And then the last match was against a Nami. Nami I had no idea how to play against, just because it's my first time playing a blue deck. But I just went wide, so I just played Jinbe into Gecko, grabbing a Trafficker. No, I didn't. Jinbe into Trafficker Law, and then using Law's bounce effect for them to drop a card. And then the next turn, I dropped another Jinbe, and then I think I played a Mihawk, and then from there on, I just kind of steamrolled them. And that's the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.